Good morning, afternoon, evening, everyone.
Hey, Graham.
How you feel?
Fucking knackered, mate.
That's what I'm guessing. You look quite bright and breezy. Nice little setting behind you to make you feel more awake.
That's the Deep Space Network down in Canberra. It's freezing here, Graham. It's cold.
Oh, is it? Really? Oh, in the UK we are melting. Well, I am.
Yeah,
It's a nice heat wave we're having for a change.
that's what I've been hearing. But it's cold here, and we're back in lockdown. I'm so over this
Oh,
lockdown
really?
bullshit. We're not in lockdown. We're in lockdown. We're not in lockdown. Doing my
Yeah.
hand.
Dude, move to Florida. We don't believe in law.
Yeah. How you going, Mike?
Hey, yeah, lockdown is for prisoners, and we believe in freedom. So, lockdown, quarantine, whatever. As long as I have my guns and my health, what more do I need?
Very good.
So, greetings from Florida.
Greetings from Salzburg. What else we got in? Paris?
Salzburg.
Yep, I'm the one from Paris. Hi, Graham.
Hi, good afternoon. It's still afternoon in Paris.
Yeah, it's good afternoon. Yeah, it's about time for wine.
1 o'clock. Isn't that lunchtime in Paris now?
That's right.
You got to have red wine for lunch in Paris, otherwise you're not doing your job properly.
Hey guys, how are you?
Hey, Jimmy.
How you doing? Where's Phil?
Yeah.
He's out in a satellite camp.
It's the Deep Space Network. These are that's the 270-foot dish that communicates with Voyager.
Oh, jeez.
Nice.
Graham, you got the PowerPoint slide deck?
Yeah, I made one up. I've disabled the lobby, so that should all be good for everyone to come straight through. And let's just get rid of that. Dogs are having a fight, so you might hear them in the background.
Oh, they're fighting. And you got Clippy behind you too, Graham.
I know, it's good, isn't it?
I haven't downloaded all my my classic backgrounds yet, and Michael's got a video behind him, and
Had to do it. Clippy's good.
Clippy's good. Well, welcome everybody. Welcome to July. Geez. Finally, the end of the Microsoft's fiscal year, so things slowed down here for, pretty traditionally for the month of July. But there was a lot to cover in June. I went through and Graham, Michael, and I were doing the slides, and I'm like, did I miss anything? And there's just a lot to go through. So welcome, and we've changed the name in case you guys were wondering from MTRAMA to MTDMA. And the truth is that we get asked a lot about phones, about other kinds of devices, and we even talk about headsets and other things. So we just thought, all right, let's call it devices. You guys that are partners know that MTR is not an acronym that is quote unquote approved. Microsoft Team Room is the official name of the thing. So MTR was sort of went away, and we said, all right, MTD.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm I just wanted to get in there and mute the microphone so at least I knew where to go afterwards. Yeah, it's been really interesting to see how everything has been going from an industry perspective. Obviously, when I'm on the cares about the conference.
Anybody else hear you?
Oh yeah, we're hearing it. We're just all quiet listening.
So, as we always used to say, for every
Anybody know who it is?
1,000 conferences.
Joshua.
Because certainly.
There we go. And let's unmute it. So if you want to unmute, Jimmy, you can you?
Yeah.
Unmute.
I couldn't.
Yeah,
I couldn't find who it was. I was looking at it. So welcome to June. We got a lot of stuff to do. For those of you that attended Inspire, there was a lot of things there. Graham, I know you did a session. I did a session with Polly. I think Laura said it best. Can't believe that we held Jimmy to only 30 minutes on that session. So
Must have been painful for you.
Yeah. So let's kick in. For those of you that don't know, Graham is a Microsoft MVP. I'm an ex-Microsoft MVP. We put on this thing to talk about room systems and talk about everything that comes with room systems. Just for short notice, the disclaimer: this is a very casual event. We do not any views or thoughts here do not represent our employers. This is just us taking time to sort of reflect on a community and bring out the best of what we've heard. That being said, anything that we share should be confirmed with those vendors, with those entities officially. Do not take this as, hey, this is an endorsement, this works all the time, and so on and so forth. Also, just want to let you know where we get all our information from. We always go back to this doc site. If you want to advance it, Graham, to the next slide. We always go to this doc site. This is where we get most of our information from. This is where we actually refer people to if you've got questions about Microsoft Teams rooms and how they work and what goes on. That being said,
I was just going to say, the other bit of information where we get our information from is the Microsoft 365 roadmap. I'll put a link in the chat in a second. So you can filter on just Teams devices, and you'll see, what's upcoming and what the approximate date potentially is for launch. So that's where we get all our goodness from, or on Twitter or tech community. If it's posted somewhere, we find it, but it's all public information that's been shared elsewhere. So nothing here discussed is under NDA. If I mess up, I won't do it, hopefully, because I'm from a vendor, and same with Jimmy or Michael. Hopefully they won't let slip any trade secrets. We try not to.
Hey, if you don't mind, I'll jump in real quick. The docs, we're starting to put a lot of effort towards updating those. This morning I've actually started writing one. It's on the Android side. But hopefully in the next, let's say, 3 months, you'll start noticing a lot of edits, changes, adds, updates, refresh of the docs articles for both Android and Windows.
And probably as we do them and they come out, we'll bring them up here so that people can understand what's changed and what's out there. So we'll put them in the notes so that when we get back together each month, we can go through it. So let's recap what we did last episode. This one's 16. Last episode was 15. We talked about new Teams room features. We talked about troubleshooting Android systems, audio presentation, and we gave the big audio presentation from Harold and the guys at BuyAmp. And really appreciate those guys sort of coming on. It does make it easier when you have guests sort of prepare a lot of the content every month, Michael and Graham. And if there are future things that you guys want to see, let's make sure that you get them to us, whether you contact us on Twitter or LinkedIn and everything else. We've got a good breadth of people around the community and things like that. And a lot of people come in and ask, hey, can I do something on it? And if you guys got a question about things, chances are somebody else has it. So let's bring it up and make sure that we go through it. So what we're going to do on this episode, we're going to actually talk about a couple of different things. First, we're going to actually talk about new Teams rooms features. The intelligent speakers became GA. Brent, I want to thank you for showing us, I think back in January, our first first glimpse of those, but now they're GA, so you can register your own voice. You can pick these up. It's a great little opportunity to sort of distinguish what Teams rooms and those shared spaces really are all about. We'll go into there. There's a new Teams room on Surface Hub, and I know that a lot of people here actually are fans of the Surface Hub and how they work, and I just wanted to bring up and sort of ask you guys how you guys are doing on the preview of that. We'll talk about the hybrid work discussion because a lot of new videos have been released, a lot of things were sort of out there, and I want to make sure that we are all sort of understand where these things are going and how they work. And then we'll have your questions, anything that sort of came in. Graham, did we take out the piece about the audio side?
The audio,
right.
Which bit?
The audio issue that I wanted to talk about. So
yes.
First thing.
Oh yes. I've got to put that
Is it in there?
Yeah.
All right, good.
It's in my head.
All right, good. So first thing I want to show, I wanted to sort of show you guys these videos again because I know from my side, I've had a lot of people come back and say, what are these videos? How are they built? How are they done? There was actually an article that I posted on LinkedIn, and we can probably grab it and put it in if you guys haven't seen it. But it goes into the story of how these rooms were built and what they were actually designed with and the idea in mind. And I just want to make sure that everybody understands this is something that's coming and this is something that's there, but it doesn't change the shift of how Microsoft Teams rooms are really out there right now. These are dual displays. You can see in the picture in the bottom there, they're actually short throw laser projectors that do a different image on the front of the room, and that edge blending is done right in the middle using those projectors themselves. So while this is a great leap in the way that shared spaces are sort of done, this is where we've been going on these Microsoft Teams rooms, is that shared spaces are different from personal spaces, and shared spaces have to be thought about a little bit differently. And I think I'm preaching to the choir, Graham, when I sort of say we've all got to understand that just putting a PC inside of a room and making a USB peripheral device, that doesn't make a Teams room. And the software is really meant for those shared spaces. So I wanted to bring it up again and show the videos so that everybody had them. And I see that Frank is actually talking about, do they really want to bring back projectors? And Frank, it's an interesting question, because I had it to the product group as well. I said, are you guys nuts? I said, I've done projectors in the past. I know what they are. But there's actually some projectors, and projector technology has been advancing for a little while. And Graham, I'll share this. They actually put in, to be honest with you, some Epson short throw laser projectors. Stuff? Yeah, it was Epson off the shelf, and they've been working with some different projector manufacturers. There's not an endorsement here that says, hey, this is the one they're going to do. But what they saw with the Epson projectors, they actually have a camera that connects to these projectors, which allow them to align themselves every single night. So that idea of that drifting and that sort of, hey, it's off and things like that, projector manufacturers understood that. They've been taking action on that. And I know I myself haven't gone back to see, hey, what's in the world of projectors and everything else. I had moved on to LCD walls, thin bezel. You know, I really love the Sony video wall idea. I know that Apple actually did it at their headquarters, and it worked really, really well. But those are the kind of things that I was looking at, and I was surprised, like you, Frank, are they really going back to projectors? I think that there's a world where projectors fit in, and it's an interesting idea.
I think, you know, where people traditionally had immersive rooms, so think of the Cisco Telepresence, the Polycom RPX, you know, those big, large immersive environments. I think I can see a nice fit for this being replaced to get this nicer environment. Now, I've actually had some questions in the past couple of weeks about this, and I think it's good that we talk about this. Here is that bottom picture. You know, one thing was projectors. Who's doing the bleed? Is it software on the PC or on the projectors? I'm like, I don't know. I guess it's a projector.
I can answer that, actually. Yeah, it's a dual screen. So the dual output of the Teams room is actually there, and then it's the projectors doing the edge blending. And one of the things that you're going to see from the product group come in the future is that they're going to understand what's actually hooked up to these Teams rooms on the output side, and they're going to be able to say, okay, we know that you've got something that can actually blend these together. So we're going to be able to give you this as an option for a layout. And that idea of layouts is something that's really, really important. I know that in my role, I've gotten feedback from customers about dual screen. They want to see more dual screen layouts, and they want to see that. Well, the truth is, a lot of the product group focused on the single screen displays, because if you look at the majority of systems that are in the field, it's almost 75-80% are single screen displays. And that being said, why are you developing for something that's at 25% market share or something like that? But that has now changed. And the idea was, we only put in the single display because the dual display options weren't there. So I know the product group has gone back, just the simple fact of even expanding people across both displays. That's something that's coming, I believe, in like August or September, if you look at the timeline that's on there. But that idea of those two displays is still something that they want to do. They want to make sure that you can do this, and they're going to basically come out with more guidance towards, if you truly want to do this front row, which is what the term that they're using for that layout. If you want to do this layout, here's our guidance, and here's how we do this. So it's an interesting thing. But dual displays, Graham, when you're talking about, all right, I want 110-inch dual displays, maybe the displays aren't the way to go. Projectors make that a little bit easier to do. And if you can edge blend and they've got the idea, I mean, I know from all my years at Crestron, one of the things that integrators sort of always were challenged with is somebody goes and they clean the projector and they knock it out of whack. And then you got to bring somebody back in to align these and everything else. So keystoning, different things, if they can do it themselves and you don't have to sort of bring them back every night to do that. I mean, I think projectors are worthy of another look to see if that's it. And the rooms that were built, just so that everybody understands, I do this pitch a lot with partners, but the rooms were actually built in Redmond. These aren't just renderings that were, oh, let's put this together and let's do this. The front row experience that was actually put out there in these videos, where you've got chat, you've got assignments, you've got dual content displays, and you've got the gallery at the bottom. All of that was developed over time in real rooms. And it was said, hey, how do we make this a better experience for everybody? And that really was where the guidance sort of came from, was let's sit down and let's make sure that we can all have a good meeting. And we've removed a lot of these barriers of the traditional Teams room side.
And actually, just on that, there is actually a blog. I'll try and dig it out and put it in the chat. That shows Greg and the engineering team how they developed and built these rooms. It's an interesting read. And I think the next point on here is actually, again, another question I got asked. No, I don't know the answer, and obviously we can't share everything that if we know the answer. But so we see that front row, and you've seen obviously two different renderings of it. One is where we're just in our normal squares, and obviously we see this. I'm going to call it the AI cutout that we do today with background blur. Now, is that going to require the new generation of the cameras that were released out of Inspire, or the other week that we'll talk about in a minute? Or is that just going to be normal cameras?
There's a few different options. Obviously, partners like Poly with the E70 have come out with that E70 where it's able to actually do the AI in the camera and deliver individual squares themselves. There's also some other camera manufacturers that are doing the same sort of thing. So that makes it easier, but it doesn't make it the only way that this can happen, because if they're feeding back those individual squares and the individual people that are there, that's great. Teams can sort of take that and they can adapt that out and they can do that. But where does it go next time? Because Graham, I mean, from the work that you've done with Hudley, that I was with Crestron obviously when we looked at Hudley. The people counting, it's not saying, hey, this is Jimmy Vaughan and this is who it is, but it is taking the heads and shoulders and it's saying that's a person. Now, what if in a regular sort of point of view, you could take that and you could identify that as a person and give them their own square? So there are things that are available. I understand how it's being done. I'm not sure 100% where it's going to go yet, but I know that the Poly E70 does have that capability now, and they're working with Microsoft as partners to sort of bring that out and make sure that that's something that's available. But it's going to be sending individual screens, and the AI is in the camera.
Yeah. So the other partner that will be doing that is Neat. They're the other ones that were launched around that piece as well. So. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing these new layouts. I think most people are who have deployed them, but it'll give at least a life back to rooms that people are just bored of just meetings. And as you say, this new hybrid work, which is actually, there was a great discussion last week, I can't think of the week, at Inspire, and we'll talk about this return to work maybe as well in a bit on how do we get people back to these meeting spaces. So the next bit that I forgot to put a slide in here was for HDMI audio. So for those of you running meeting rooms and you plug in a physical, I don't have a cable here, you plug in a physical HDMI cable in build 4.8.31, it was there. And with the release of Windows 20H2, there was a feature called audio ducking. And what it was doing, it was bringing down the audio levels on there. There was a test of a registry change, but that didn't really fix everything. So it was actually pulled back end. So server side, it was disabled, so no MTRs can now do it. And I believe there's going to be a fix in the next release whenever that's released. So anyone who was using HDMI audio, that is gone, but it will come back. It's just an issue with 20H2.
It's been a big question from a lot of people that deployed systems, and they said, hey, I used to have the audio on my HDMI input. Now I don't. And the reason is, yeah, like Graham said, there was an update that came. It actually affected the audio side of things. So it was decided, instead of going through and making everybody sort of, hey, you got to do this, and then you got to do this, and then you got to do this, let's disable this for now, and then we'll bring it back. Now, the one thing I do want to make sure that everybody understands, Graham, is, and I know that there are stats again that support this. A majority of Teams people are finally starting to understand share through Teams, and that idea of that cable that sits on the table and that big adapter ring and things like that may not be your best way to share it. If you can get users to understand, hey, I can share through Teams itself, that might be the way that you actually get around this quote unquote audio issue that happened, quite mistakenly. But at the same time, let's change their behavior and let's make sure that they use it. I mean, things like Teams casting from your mobile device and things like that makes it much easier. It doesn't solve everything, but if we can actually make sure that people are sharing through Teams, and it does, statistics show a majority of people are doing that now, I think it does take away that, hey, we lost an option that was there.
Yeah, as you say, it will come back. And again, anyone's wondering, there's on the known issues, I'm just putting the link in the chat. It's mentioned there that the low volume is there, but it will be fixed. As you say, you've got Teams casting, so you can walk into any room, use your mobile or cell phone, or you just connect with your Teams client on your laptop and join that meeting. Or again, you use proximity join, so you use your device to start the meeting and start it in the room, and then you just use your laptop for content. And obviously you can share with HDMI audio. And I believe that's come to Mac now as well. So you can do HDMI sharing Teams sharing from the desktop on the Mac client. And I think I saw it on the roadmap, it's coming to the web client as well at some point. So there's all good features there.
Yeah, Martin asks, is there official update on Teams casting for the desktop client? It's coming. I know that it's in development right now, but I haven't seen exactly when. I would expect that it's coming relatively quickly, because once it came to the mobile side, I think that everybody really enjoyed it. Again, it's you can do all of these things. There's just the idea of casting removes a couple of steps. And Graham, I'm still seeing the slide, episode 16, so I'm not sure if.
That's correct, because there are no other slides. They're just the topics we're going to talk about.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
I didn't have time to finish it.
Did you take mine?
I didn't get yours.
Okay.
So on casting, I can add up that only 5% of tenants had it as of 3 weeks ago. Last week, at some point, they've pushed it to 50% of tenants. I'm not sure. I'm not in that team. I just asked why my demo tenant doesn't have it, and that's how they answered. And so I'm not sure when they're going to push it to 100% of tenants, but that feature is still rolling out. So if you don't have it, just please be patient.
And actually, just a handy hint on that. So in your Teams client, I should have plugged in my phone and we could do ADB Connect. But on your phone or your tablet, you can actually move the icons down the bottom. So you can press and hold like you move the apps on your home screen. So if you're going to be using casting regularly on your tablet or phone, put it on the bottom tray within the Teams client so you can move it and you've got easy access to it. So you just walk in, open up your Teams client and hit cast. Brent, are they working to fix this fast and furious? I would hope so. I think the whole world is getting back to some sort of normality. What's it here? Randy, is it Freedom Day here in the UK for us? we've been opened back up and allowed out to the public without a mask now. So I guess the rest of the world.
So I'll stay indoors with my air conditioner.
Good call. So what's next? So intelligent devices or speakers have been GA'd as of, I think, was it last week, week before? And these are from EPOS, which was previously known as Sennheiser, and also Yealink. So these can record up to, someone correct me if I'm wrong, up to 10 different voices. It can recognize in a meeting. And you enable it, so you record a sample, so it knows who you are, so it knows who Jimmy is. So each time Jimmy now uses a device with an intelligent speaker, It then has that digital identity stored in Azure, so it's safe and secure. And then when you look at the new fluid components as part of meeting notes and then transcription, like you saw in the previous slides where you see it on the big MTR rooms, they'll know that Jimmy said XYZ, Michael said ABC. So it's going to help, taking notes and actions following up from meetings, especially when you identify who said what. Any other feedback on intelligent speakers? Anyone else tried them, tested them? You did, Brent, haven't you?
Yes, and the unmute button won't work. Okay. Yeah, we do. I've got one in a usability lab, but we have not deployed those widely. But we certainly have them, and yeah, it recognizes people, and it's actually a pretty cool scenario. Can't wait till the cameras do that, and that gets tied back to our corporate photos on our tags. That'll be in the U.S. I know folks in Europe, it's a different story.
You can add
Very
that
good.
if you have, in personal testing, if you have twins whose voices are very similar, there's more work that needs to be done. So I'm working with, I've raised that issue, and the twins I know are willing to do voice samples to maybe improve the accuracy. But I was like, I got the device. I'm like, hey, girls, come here, let's test, let's do this. You're Adele Vance, you're Megan Bowen, and it's like, and then the device was like, yeah, I'm confused. So, yeah, what about impersonators? I guess we could try that. Get a thing of the actual actor and play it through YouTube, and then an impersonator, and see if it makes a difference.
Randy, can you do any impersonations?
No, probably not. Better to say that than yeah.
Alexander, you got a question?
Yes. I want to add one thing regarding the Teams casting. I saw it was available on the Android client, but you have to slide it to the bottom of the bar of your Teams client, because it's you can only pin 5 functions. So maybe it's available already, but if you don't notice it and you don't slide it to the bottom, it's not available for you. So I think that's let's say a good tip. Regarding the intelligent speakerphones, I'm testing the M-Speech, and I have more question. I noticed Cortana is working in EMEA, but I was wondering if the voice transcription feature is already available outside US tenants.
I haven't seen it outside of U.S. tenants, to be honest with you. I think Canada might have it, but I don't know that they went GA yet either.
Yeah, I think on normal room systems, the Cortana is still limited to US English on there, and on the Logitech Rally microphones. That's from, I think, 2 releases ago. That's what is currently out in the wild. I think they're still classed as preview. So it's not fully GA yet on the Cortana side. Again, it's quite a cool feature where you can walk in and say, hey, that person, start my meeting or join my next meeting or end my meeting. So again, it gives a good touch-free access to your meeting. So hopefully that'll get rolled out again very shortly as we return to work. I saw a question from Robert, actually, which is an interesting one. The fit to frame on the client versus right side in rooms. Not a good look, as often users get zoomed twice. And funny enough, I had this question to me end of last week, where the desktop client is zooming in. It's got 2 people in it, so you're very much portrait rather than landscape. And obviously, it's an easy fix on the desktop client. You can right-click and fit to frame. But I wonder if there's any intelligence that, you mentioned there, Jimmy, with the poly cameras and the neat cameras, that will solve that issue moving forward. Where it's cropping the rooms, not by design, but by accident, should we say, on the desktop client. But those intelligent cameras will fix that, as will pick out the people and place them in squares, I guess.
Yeah, Graham, I messaged you. If you want to give me control, I do have slides that are prepared. And I can do those. And Martin, Smart Speakers, simply doing the transcripting. There are plans. If you look at some of the front row stuff, it's actually doing some of that transcription plus the Cortana after items. that you sort of get with some of the transcribing. But it's all about, and I'm just gonna do this real quick. It's all about making sure that, and let me see if I can get this to present here. Of course, that's going to freeze my PC, but oh, that looks fine. Yeah, it's all about transcribing and making sure that that the attribute is assigned to the person and not the meeting room itself. That's the idea of the smart speakers. That idea of making after sort of post meeting to-do lists and things like that. That's something that's going to be coming to Teams, but it hasn't yet come to Teams yet. But that's the idea, is that meetings will be allowed to do that. And once you get over the ability to identify somebody in the conference room as a person and not just an anonymous conference room speaker or microphone, that's the idea, is that those meetings that are in person will now have that ability as well. But it hasn't come to Teams yet, so it has to come to Teams, and then it'll be coming to Teams rooms. And I do apologize. I'm going to try to just do this. Yeah, I can do this. Okay. It's doing a little bit of weird things on my screen, so I apologize, guys.
While you're figuring that out, I'll jump in there. Dave Pryor Jones asked, does the voice enrollment happen once per user per tenant or before every meeting? So the way this works, and you may have it in your Teams client, but probably not yet. If you go to the settings, like now it's the three dots, pull down. Actually, what's it look like in mine? You have to, first off, you have to give people the rights. So you have to create a policy that allows them to do this. Then you go to settings, and then captions and transcripts would be an option. And then automatically identify me in captions and transcripts. And then from there, there's a wizard. You read a long paragraph, and it takes that to get your voice print. So you do it once for your tenant, and it's per tenant based. And then for this to work, right now, as best I understand it, you have to be an invitee to the meeting. So if there are 10 of us, and I invite 5 people because I expect us to be in the meeting room, if a 6th person walks in who is not invited, even if they have a voice print, they won't be recognized. I'm trying to test that out, but that's the way I understand it right now, is that the realm of identity is limited by the invite, who was invited to that meeting. So hopefully that helps explain that question.
Michael, that must have changed from when we were testing that in TAP, because in TAP, I just invited myself and the room, and then the 3 other folks that were coming in the meeting were enrolled. It recognized, so it's changed.
Maybe true. The way the articles are written, it implies that they have to be invited, but I've also seen a few lines of text that don't imply that, so I need to test it. So you may be right that any identified, which is, I think, the correct way, is any identified voice, even if they're not an invitee, should get it, but it may be also a lot of back-end processing if you have 100,000 enrolled voices to try to figure out who it is in relatively short order.
I've also dropped in the chat the documentation for the intelligent speaker setup that Michael talked about. So those steps are in the official docs.
So yeah, so it's GA. So I think all of us have a lot of work to do to sort of understand it a little bit better. I mean, everything can be written down and everything else. Until you experience it, you're never going to get that level of, oh, I'm comfortable with this and I know how to set it up. And I think that's where all of us sort of have a little bit of work to do. On the other flip side of it, there are some new Teams Room devices that were actually introduced. Believe it or not, more Teams Rooms devices. The HP Slice G2 is out there, and that pairs with the Logitech Tap. You've also got the Lenovo ThinkSmart Core kits, which are those kits that are actually able to be pieced together with different audio parts from Lenovo. So it's really an important part of their strategy to not only go after the rooms that have the hub on them, but also to be able to use these core kits as part of theirs as well. And of course, on the Android side, the Logitech Rally Bar for Teams rooms on Android is now out as well, which will be an exciting thing once they get out into the field. I know that Poly's had some real good success with the X30 and the X50 out in the field, and it's exciting to get more of those Android bars out. And Randy, I don't want to leave Yealink out either, but the Yealink is also doing well on the Android side. So a couple new devices. Obviously, they were released in June. Has anybody actually put the Logitech bar? Or is there somebody from Logitech on here that can help us with a little bit about the bar for Android and where they live? I don't know if Josh or anybody else are here.
Hey guys, Rob's here from Logitech.
Hey Rob.
Hey
Rob. So are you using the Android side yet? Do you have the tap on?
So I've got a Rally Bar set up for MTR and Android. I don't have it in the meeting, and it's buried back in there. But so today, currently, the MTR on Android app that is in the CollabOS release that has that supports either using the Rally Bar remote control to interface with the MTR user interface or a connected touchscreen display, right? We have USB accessory ports on the Rally Bar, so you can connect an interactive display and interact with the UI elements there. Up on our Pro Support site, there's an article that kind of has the latest what's supported, what isn't. Support for tap is coming soon. So I have a test build of it now in my lab, but a coming soon release at CollabOS will turn on support for our tap controller that we use, obviously, with our Teams on Windows devices.
That's what I wasn't sure of yet, because I hadn't seen it come out and everything else. So if you're updating your system, are you doing it through Teams Admin Center right now, or are you doing it through your Pro site?
So CollabOS firmware updates, obviously available through our sync portal from our update servers. You can update it directly on the local user interface on the Rally Bar or via sync. Now that we are Teams certified, you can also push CollabOS updates via Teams Admin Center.
Awesome.
When those Rally Bars, again, they have to be configured for Teams Room on Android, but now you can push CollabOS updates right out of the Teams Admin Center.
Good. And I see Frank is asking the question that we just answered. When does MTR for the Logitech Tap? That's coming. I know that it's there. It was in the picture, but again, the marketing. Let's get beyond the marketing side. Let's talk to the guys that actually do it. Yeah, it's coming. So
again, in a public forum and as a salesperson, I have to parrot the company line coming soon, right? And that's
correct.
I have a link I can send you to our support site that says the same. So I'm totally in the clear there.
Awesome.
But I think just to add to that, you can still use an MTR on Android with a touchscreen. So in maybe there's smaller rooms that you want to put a device, maybe it's a stand-up area, and you don't have room for a tap or another controller. Linking it to a touch display, as I call it over here, cheapest chips there to add that touch, to any 40-inch, 50-inch display. You can then use it as a nice touchscreen system because you get the calendar on the home screen with MTR OA, etc. So it's just another option. You don't have to have the controller there, especially with Android.
Yeah. And then I got yelled at, Graham, because I put this up. I said to Graham, what's this partnership with Jabra? Obviously, I know a little bit more about Crash Run than the average bear, but but I'm like, all right, what is this and everything else? And Graham actually, sort of schooled me on it a little bit. So there is a come together in channel between Jabra and Crestron where they'll pair their CX100 kits with the Jabra soundbar that's actually Teams certified. I know that Jabra is also working on some other things. I think it was rather cool, the demo that is there, that it's like the Panicast that they put out right now, where it can actually do that 180-degree field of view. But it not only does the people at 180 degrees, it actually has a content camera that it can do as well. And I think at the same time, it's not like you have to have two different things hooked up. It can apparently do this at the same time. I don't know if anybody's tried that before. It was an interesting video that I saw that sort of took some of that complexity around, I have to extend this camera and I have to do the math for how far away the camera is off of the whiteboard and things like that. And it does look like Jabra actually has an ability to do this, which was interesting. And when I saw it paired with the Crestron side, I said, hey, Graham, you guys made to deal with Jabra, and he sort of told me, no, this is a local thing. Phil, I think it's in your end of the world, down in Australia, where they actually came together and put it as a package where it can be purchased. But it's an interesting device. Yeah, it's an interesting device. I think a lot of people are seeing the power of these bars. Now, the bars are not meant for every single space, and let's be clear. A beamforming microarray can only do so well in a larger room. So when you look at things and you look at that picture that's down at the bottom left, something like the Jabra actually does really, really well, because it does that 180-degree field of view where you don't have to worry about how far away I am from that display underneath the sitting there. You're going to be captured in frame when that camera's at the right height, and I think it's something to really look at. I know a lot of people like to put that table up against the display. Again, I think we've all seen the articles that have been written. Let's make sure that we are putting the furniture and the devices and everything else to the kind of room that it is. Obviously, if this is a collaborative room with a touchscreen, like Graham said, you can put some of these bars together with touchscreens. If there is a touchscreen, let's not put the table right up against the display. We all laugh at this, but I've seen too many people fall into that hole where they design it and they don't design it for, hey, it's a collaborative space, or it's a meeting space, or it's both. And I think it's really important. So I thought we should go through that, and I want to go through and talk about the new Surface Hub. And I'm jumping around because I don't have all of them in the right order, and I can't see them because of my screen right now, Graham. But let's talk about the new Surface Hub experience. Who has actually installed the new OS and wants to come off of mute and actually tell us a little bit about it? Because the idea is this really does remove a little bit of the complexity of Surface Hub. I think it's a giant leap in some of the things that they're going to be able to do actually in production as well.
So I've got it, Jimmy. I got it last week and I played around with it, and it's pretty nice. And just to give everybody a bit of background on this, so the Surface Hub originally was, well, still is, quite a secure lockdown device. And it only runs applications that are really UWP apps. You can't run an exe file on it. But what that was forcing the developers to do is have to build a Teams app based on UWP. So we started to get to a point where Surface Hub was leading, MTR was nascent, and MTR caught up and eventually overtook functionality when it came to video and gallery together mode, and Hub was lagging behind. So it's hard to maintain two code bases, right? It's hard to maintain two code bases for developers that sat in different areas. So what Microsoft have done is they've taken the MTR application and basically signed it for use on Hub, even though it's a Win32 app. And it works really well. And what you'll see is it will get feature parity with the MTR devices, so that it will be pretty functional from an AV perspective. It's never going to have the same camera capability. It's never going to have the same mic capability because it's a collaboration device. But at least the software is going to function more like an MTR. And when features come out for one, they should be available for the other. So far it looks pretty good. I encourage everybody to get their hands on it. If they don't have a Surface Hub, then go to the office and get it on a test machine and see if you can learn about it.
Yeah, and I put in there a little, self-serving plug for myself and Liam on, I think it's Wednesday or Thursday this week. I forget which day it is. But we're actually going to do a session of In the Room. And we've got Frank. And those of you that have been around for a while, Frank's basement where he had two 85-inch Surface Hubs in his basement. Frank's actually got a new studio. So Frank's going to be at the new studio. Frank's going to be doing demos of this new OS that's out there. And we're going to talk about how, like you said, Phil, how the new OS, Microsoft Teams rooms, MTR, all of that sort of works in with the Surface Hub. Coordinated join was the first step to make sure that, the Surface Hub and the MTR can work together. And I think you said it, Phil. It's now under the same engineering group. and they're gonna have some new things coming. But I think this removes some of that complexity of the people that didn't want to sort of, oh, I have to swipe from the right or I have to swipe down from the top to be able to do this and do that. And I think that the new whiteboard app, I don't think we've spoken about that yet, but the new whiteboard app opens a ton of possibilities between MTR, Surface Hub, desktop, and even the mobile applications as well. I think that moving that over to SharePoint was really the key to get all of this stuff together.
I think just to add on to that, as we talk about new devices and experiences, we saw that Microsoft are going to partner with Neat for their range of devices. They have an Android bar. They also have a touchscreen. It was called the Neat board. And it worked in, it's exclusively designed to work with Zoom, but it was confirmed that that will just get MTR OA on it. So it'll be a touchscreen, so it'll be an all-in-one, just like we mentioned earlier with, having a collab bar, the old name, with a touchscreen. So that's what Neat are doing on that sort of space. So it's not going to compete with the Surface Hub. You're still going to have all those great, collaboration tools that the Surface Hub's known for.
I had to show the slide that I did for Dr. Evil though too. I mean, I spent time on this. That's why I was upset when there were no slides. I was going to introduce Dr. Evil into the crowd and say, hey guys, it's a known issue, or lasers. But yeah, so we've gone through this. The jobber in the product in the room. It's actually July 22nd, which is 3 days from now. Liam and I, as I said, we'll be talking to Frank. Frank will be in Redmond inside of a new studio. He's actually got some new things set up, and it'll be interesting because he's got all these cameras. He's actually got a jib. I did a run through with him the other day, and he's got a jib for the camera. So he's upped his production game from the basement. So come join us, and we'll have fun just watching Frank tell us about all the new Surface Hub things. That was all that I had really for this, Graham. I don't know if there was other stuff that people wanted to bring up. I know the chat has been there, but I'm not sure if people want to bring up other things that they've seen. Oh, there is one thing that I do want to bring up. All right, so for direct guest join, I have seen people say, oh, I'm having a Zoom issue where I can't join this meeting on the MTR, but I'm enabled for direct guest join. I've got everything. It used to work and things like that. And one of the troubleshooting things that I want everybody to understand is direct guest join is using the Zoom or the WebEx browser experience. So one of the great troubleshooting things that you can do is just on your PC, see if you can join with a browser without the Zoom client or the WebEx client. If you can't join on that PC, the MTR is possibly going to have the problem. There have been some challenges that have come up lately with that browser experience that have affected MTR joining. And I know that they're there, and both Zoom and Microsoft and WebEx all work together on the engineering side to make sure that it's working. But when they do release a new experience for their browser experience, sometimes there are hiccups that happen. And I know that a bunch of the tickets that came in over the past month have been about, hey, I'm not able to join Zoom. And Graham, I think you actually had one of them as well. And I see them cross my desk, and I wanted to bring up, it's a great troubleshooting way to actually see, is this the browser experience? Is this something specific on MTR? Or how can I actually explain this to my customers? And I just wanted to bring that up. I didn't want to make a slide for it, but I did want to bring it up.
Yeah, it's a common theme, should we say, that let's say Zoom are making changes to the back end, and that obviously affects the front end. Not many people probably join with the web client because they've got the client installed on their mobile, their tablet, their desktop phone. So people joining with browsers probably sort of, let's say, forgotten about, but obviously it's a big part of Microsoft Teams rooms. So yeah, it's I put a link in there to the Zoom guide. What I tell a lot of people to do is, why don't you try it from the Windows desktop of the MTR? So it's on that network, using that connection, using your Edge browser, can it get to a decent joiner? And then, it's 9 times out of 10, it won't join. It may work fine from your cell phone client. You'll type in the PIN and ID, etc. It's just the WebRTC components that are broken somewhere. So that's come up in the tech community in the past couple of weeks.
And I see that Randy put in the chat, it's your fault. But the truth is, Randy, when the customers can't get in and everything else, it's everybody's fault. And it's where things will fall down. Correct. It doesn't matter where it is. And the truth, I mean, they bring it up to Microsoft, they bring it up to Zoom. It is a co-developed effort between all of us that has to work. So when things come up, all the companies actually do jump on it very, very quickly. But it's also helpful to understand where that problem lies. And if you can get that information even in the ticket, sometimes that helps the guys understand it. I know that some of the people that I've worked with in the past on the support side, they don't necessarily understand what the technology is, and they say, "Oh, that's Zoom, go away." Truth is, it's co-developed technology. Phil, you got your hand up.
Yeah, so are we moving away from Zoom because I've got a different question?
I'm happy to move away from Zoom.
All right, okay, so I've been testing the new Yealink A30 collaboration bar, and it just sent me a new build of software. And I noticed that in the release notes they've got a little section around room remote off your mobile phone. Is that released? Has anyone played around with it?
It's on the
that is not released. Randy probably knows more about it than I do because I can't actually use it because my tenants aren't in TAP. Randy probably won't say anything because he's in TAP and he's not allowed to say anything.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
I can neither confirm nor deny that room remote exists. If it's in the roadmap, then it does exist.
Well, it's in the Yealink documentation.
I may or may not have been using it.
So room remote. I'll put it out there. Room remote is not GA yet, but it is in TAP and it is being tested. I'm surprised that they put it in the release notes, but it is something that's coming. And to be honest with you, I think it's an important part of the MTR story as we start to go back. I know that here in the U.S., actually cases are starting to rise. There's a whole thing around. Will we go back? Won't we go back? But I think no matter if we do or if we don't, people are going to be looking for ways to start these meetings, to do these things without having to touch those shared screens. And I think room remote is an important part of that. Phil, I haven't tested it myself. I don't have a tenant that's in TAP yet. I know Michael and I actually spoke about room remote. I think we spoke about it or we chatted about it or something like that. That's how I knew that he was trying it. But I haven't tested it myself to see if it works yet either. I'm eager to see it, to be honest with you.
Can I ask a question regarding room remote? Because I saw there is a room remote app available in the desktop app store, but I was wondering what is the difference between that app and the let's say the new roadmap app for MTR?
I have no idea what app you're talking about, but I will say that you do not need another app for room remote. You just need the Teams client. So I don't know what that.
It is a little confusing that an app showed up about a month ago, 2 months ago. It was like, I've got room remote. No, the app doesn't do anything. You can put it in the app policy in Teams. Yeah.
That app you saw, Alexander, is for remote PTZ. So if you think of, let's say, a medical environment where you want to control the doctor's camera, this goes back to legacy features of traditional Cisco Polygon codecs that we had all those years ago, where you got foreign camera control. That's what that app is. And again, as you say, it's appeared with no further info on that. But I expect that's what that app and application is going to be used for.
Okay.
I did not even know there was an app called Room Remote. So you guys teach me something every time I come on. But yeah.
Good question here from Dave. We've got, are most people using Zoom web join or extending MTR with BYOD so the native Zoom experience is driven by the laptop in the room? Depends on the organization. Are they looking for that simplicity? Walk in, hit join, guest join access, works every time. If they're collaborating and they're doing chat and they're doing annotations, etc., and they want that full Zoom experience, and that's obviously where bring your own device comes in with different vendors to help that. So there's no right or wrong answer. It just depends. Is it maybe 1 in every 100 meetings in the Zoom, and you just want to join it, and that's what guest join is great for. But let's say you're working on a 3-month project with your design agency, and they're on Zoom. You may want to, look at BYOD potentially in that sort of environment. You got a question, Dave?
Can't hear you.
Mute. Should have got my T-shirt. You're on mute.
Can't hear you, Dave. I see you speaking.
No, still not you. It's 12 headsets you've got connected probably. Anything else in the chat? Martin, are rooms are not bookable by external domains? Is there a good document on what to be accomplished to allow good secure setup to allow yes join?
I responded. Graham, I responded to that one in chat. So
okay, good. So yeah, one thing I think I blogged about this actually about that as well, where you can allow certain domains to book. So again, if it's a regular partner you're working with, you can allow the exchange transport rule to push that through to make it bookable, but only by calendar events, etc. So there are certain ways you could look at doing that.
Hey Graham.
Yeah.
Is your headset working okay? Is it picking up your laptop mic? You're not sounding too great today.
I'm hearing it too, Phil.
What's wrong?
I'm sorry I waited till 53 minutes in to tell you this.
I was going to say something, but I'm like, maybe it's just me. But it sounds like your headset is cutting in and out.
Yeah.
It sounds like he's either outside or he has a fan blowing on him.
Yeah,
I have a fan. I've got a fan right here blowing at me.
Yeah, he's got wind on him. That's it.
Maybe I need a new one. So any vendors want to send me a better headset than this one beginning with, I won't say the letter. But yeah, I'll take a new headset. What else?
That reminds me of something. I'll let you guys in on a little secret. Joe Saracen and I had come up with a commercial that we wanted to do for conference rooms, and we wanted to show the power of how good the mics were on the thing and everything else. And what we were going to do is actually bring a leaf blower into the conference room. Now, nobody's system can outdo a leaf blower. But we were going to have us screaming at each other. I hear you great. I can't believe this. And now I'm reminded because Graham's got a fan at probably 90 mile per hour wind speed blowing at his head, and he doesn't know why his mic is not working.
And like they say, all the audio problems is not me. It's
correct.
The other people enjoying the audio. I hear you all fine. So yeah, like we talked about last month, audio is so important, not just for yourself, but for the far end.
And you wouldn't even know it unless Phil had told you and everything else. You wouldn't know it. But that happens more times than you can imagine inside of a conference room. Just the simple fact of putting in a sound bar, and then you've got the heating and air conditioning that comes on, and it's blowing right at those microphones. Remember, the science of audio at its core is moving air. So if something else is moving air, those microphones may see that as a frequency that they've got to zoom in on. So nothing is perfect.
I think the classic, we talk about a lot of the times is using certified devices. Going back to, I'm going to pick on them because everyone has them probably. Apple AirPods. You sound great on them, but you sound rubbish to everyone else. And that's the key to using certified devices. Whether it is a headset here, it is a certified headset, but as you say, you can't beat a leaf blower or a fan right next to you.
And Dave, I'm not sure if you can come off mute yet or not. Let's see. I know that he had a question.
How's this working?
That works.
That's like, this is a certified Plantronics device as well. I don't know. Say no more. But I was going to say about the BYOD box, we've got a healthcare customer. And when Graham, you said it just works when you forward the Zoom for the kind of external web-based Zoom join. Well, it doesn't just work for them. I don't know what's going on. We need to get to the bottom of it. But they're definitely more in the world of, actually, I'd rather bring a laptop in so that I know that Zoom is going to function 100%. It's always the way, isn't it, that they need to use Zoom to speak to a very high-profile central gov customer, and that's a very high-profile meeting, and it just doesn't work. And we haven't got to the bottom of why. But I think it's more about they want all of that. They don't. I think it's a misunderstanding about having to have the Zoom invite in an Outlook invite in order for the MTR to see it properly. So there's that problem to start off with, that it just doesn't appear with a join link because they haven't properly forwarded it. They forwarded an email, but not an Outlook appointment. But then there's a whole host of things that make us a bit more nervous about saying, do you know what? Teams Rooms does just do Zoom meetings. It does just do WebEx. We need to be a bit more nuanced, I think, about how we position that to customers, because there is a difference, isn't there? There is a difference.
There is a difference, and but it is funny how many calls I get on, and people don't even know that exists. that you can send a Zoom meeting to the MTR. I'm not saying it's for everybody, Dave. I think the two common things that I get from when I'm on with customers and they're having problems with direct guest join is they didn't actually do the power command for process external meetings, and they don't allow the body of the email to be forwarded. They strip the body from there, which strips that Zoom invite. So those are the two big things that I've actually seen, that if you can do that, that gets you through it. But it's been a whole sort of world open to people when you say, yeah, you can send a Zoom invite or a WebEx invite and you can join. And when you do it as a demo, it's even more powerful, because I say, okay, yeah, go ahead and join your Zoom meeting. I'll be right there. So there's that. I'm actually going to write a blog article too. I had a customer the other day, and it was the first time I've seen this. And it's probably been there in Admin Center, but I've never seen it. When you go to license with the standard license, apparently they broke out everything. It's below the fold of the web page, but if you look down at the bottom, each individual piece, meaning Intune, calling plan, there's 4 pieces on the standard license, are actually able to be checked. And one of the things I saw the other day, the guy was swearing he didn't uncheck these, but he unchecked the calling plan and he couldn't apply the license to it. So I'm going to actually write an article about it, because I stumbled with it for about 15 to 20 minutes. And not that I know everything, but here's a smart guy. I'm like, no, it includes everything. I don't know where it is, but it was because it was under the fold that I couldn't find it. So.
Yeah, I saw exactly the same thing, Jimmy, with a customer. It wasn't MTI, it was calling plan. They'd assigned calling plan licenses. It was for a POC with a bunch of users on calling plan. So they definitely assigned the licenses. But what we didn't realize is they were using a license allocation tool that was actually going through and stripping out the licenses overnight.
Is that it? Okay.
Yeah, so they'd applied it and then it had taken the license out because they hadn't updated the license allocation tool to say, this person does get this license. Feature. So yeah, because they are broken out, it can happen with MTR as well. Yeah.
So it was weird, because he just said, I have all these licenses, I can't use them. What else do I have to purchase? And I'm like, you don't have to purchase anything. We got on the phone call and I'm like, no, it's in the license, but apparently they give you the ability to uncheck them and check them down under below. So it was kind of weird, but I'm gonna write something up about it and put it there, because I know that I'm gonna run into it sometime again and I will forget it, and then I'll have to reference it back. So. And sorry, Phil. Yeah, I know the sessions with Frank and everything else, they're really geared towards North America. I get paid for North America, to be honest with you.
But you're giving away prizes, Jimmy. Come on.
We're giving away prizes. I think this month we actually have T-shirts to give it. We got a whole bunch of T-shirts, I think. Jeanette was actually going to let me know what the prize packs were and stuff like that. So
grab the Surface. Frank's got a whole basement of Surface Hub T-shirts that he's been hoarding for months. Right, make sure you get them and get him to send them out.
I'll have to make sure that they're part of that giveaway. So
sweet. All right, I gotta go. Too tired.
Thanks, Phil, and thank you, everybody. I think we're at a point where we can probably wrap up June and look towards August. Yeah. Again, thank you, everybody in the community. Can't appreciate you guys enough. Every time you guys send me stuff, Michael's got something on his head. I don't know what it is, but.
Josh so kindly sent me a Switch, and I haven't unboxed it yet. So being on this call motivated me. So if anybody, I'm not going to do an unboxing video, but there's more to this than I thought. There's this whole Switch extender and a Switch hub. I'm like, I'm going to have to read the manual on this thing, which is a good thing. There's more to it than I had imagined. So it's a positive that there's all this stuff. But I'm looking around going, I thought it was just like a thing and some cables, and it's a thing and cables and screws and blocking devices, and so
you lose 3 points for reading the manual then.
Well, the good thing about reading the manual is that there's nothing to read.
Yeah, it points you to a website or something, I think, right?
Yeah, there's like no words here. I know I got to hold it up to my face because of the background blur, but I don't know. Facial detection. Anyway, whatever. There's no words on most of these pages, so
All right.
Great stuff.
All right, guys. Well, have a good month. I don't know if we'll be able to chat in this month or not, but let's see if we can. And we'll see you guys next month. And again, if there's anything you guys want to do, hit Graham or I up on LinkedIn or Twitter, and we'll.
And if you have, honestly, any complaints or encouragements or whatever on docs.microsoft.com specific to Windows MTR and our Android devices, michael.tressler@microsoft.com. Just say, I wish it did like this. I find this hard to find. Blah blah blah. We're working on that internally. So, not saying everything you say is going to work, but you may have the great idea that we'll take. So,
awesome.
Right. Thank you, Mike.
All right, guys. Talk to you later. Bye.
Cheers all. Bye.
Bye.